Hello and welcome to our video on points, lines, and planes. By the end of this video, you should be able to describe what a point, line, and plane are, as well as how to draw them and the notation used for each one of those things. Let's start off with a point. A point is exactly what it sounds like. It's a location in space. It's drawn as just a dot, and it's labeled with an uppercase letter. So this particular point is point A. I could have any number of points. If I wanted a second point, I could have another point over here and call it point B. We would not reuse a name, so there couldn't be 2 point A's on the same picture. Let's add one more here, call it point C. These 3 points are all named using an uppercase letter. Our next object is a line. A line is a series of points. It's drawn as a line with arrows on the end. This is not to confuse it with a line segment, which we'll talk about later. A line is named by points on the line. This particular line I could call line AB. If I had another point on that line, for example, this point right here we'll call D, I could also have called this line AD. Other possibilities would have been line BD or line DB or DA or BA, but we're not going to bother writing all those down. There's a second way they used to name a line. The first way was using 2 points on the line. The second way is using a lowercase italicized letter outside of the line. So in this particular case, I could also call this line L. One term that they will commonly use is the word collinear. Collinear means that they are on the same line. If you'll note on this picture here, points A, B, and D are on line L, so they are collinear with each other. This is differentiated from non-collinear. Non-collinear means that they are not on the same line. So if I was talking about points A, C, and B, for example, those would be non-collinear points because point C down here is, well, not on line L. Our third term to talk about is a plane. A plane is a two-dimensional object. It has length and width, but no depth. Commonly drawn as a parallelogram, you can kind of think of this as like a piece of paper. It has length and width, but no depth. To name this plane, I would use 3 non-collinear points on the plane. So I could, for example, call this plane EFG. A second way to name a plane is to use an uppercase italicized letter, which will commonly be in the corner of the plane. For example, I could call this plane P. Another term you may hear is coplanar. When they refer to the word coplanar, they're talking about points that are on the same plane. Let's try example number 1. We're referring to the figure on the right to answer the following questions. Question A. Name a line that contains point A. Well, point A, you'll notice, is on plane P here. Point A is on the same line as points B and C. The first method to name a line was using 2 uppercase letters. So if I wanted to talk about that line, I could certainly call it line AB. Another way I could call that line was with its lowercase italicized letter. I could also call it line N. Part B. What is another name for line M? Well, line M, you'll notice right here, has 2 points on it. I could use the lowercase italicized letter like they did and call it line M, but to name another way to talk about that, I'd have to use those 2 points. So I can call that line BD. Part C. Name a point not on AC. Well, AC is our line right here. So I'd have to name another point not on that. Looks like I have 2 choices here to name 2 points that are not collinear with them. Points E and point D. Part D. Name the intersection of lines AC and BD. Well, an intersection is just where the 2 lines cross. Those 2 lines cross right here at point B. So that would be my answer. The intersection of those 2 lines is point B. Part E. Name a point not on line N or M. If I'm looking for a point not on either of those two lines, I would have to have a point that is non-collinear with both of them. Our only choice here is point E. So for this example, we were given a picture and we were asked questions about it. Other examples you may see, they're giving you a description and you need to draw that picture. Let's start with part A here. We want to draw and label a plane named Q for each one of these relationships. You could do this as 5 individual pictures. I'm going to just do it all as one big picture. So there's our plane called Q. Since it's called Q, that's the uppercase italicized letter method. So there's our plane. I used an uppercase Q in the bottom corner. There's a line called AB on this plane. So I'd have to draw a line and call that AB, which means points A and B would have to be on that line. Part B, CD intersects with AB at P. Well, if CD is going to intersect with AB, that means it's going to cross AB. So I'll draw a second line crossing AB. That line is called CD, so there must be 2 points somewhere on it, called C and D. And the intersection point is point P. Part C. Point X is collinear with points A and P. Notice the word collinear here. It means that they are on the same line. So I need to put point X somewhere on the line with points A and P. It doesn't say where it needs to be. I'll just choose right there. Part D. Point Y is non-collinear with points C and P. This means Y has to be off of line CP. We'll choose a point that is off of both lines. That is definitely non-collinear with C and P. And part E, line L contains points X and Y. Well, we have 2 points X and Y. I would have to connect them to make line L, and that line L is a lowercase letter, so that would be the lowercase italicized letter method right outside of the line.